Okay, so yesterday we learned about 3 different forms for quadratics, right? We learned about the vertex form. We learned about the factored form. And we learned about the standard form. So our vertex form looks something like y equals 3x minus 4 squared plus 6. So this is just an example. So our vertex form gives us our vertex. Okay, so if we take a look at our equation, we take a look and we use this number here and this number here to find our vertex. Now remember, when we pull this out of the brackets, it turns into the opposite it was. So if it's a -4, it turns into a +4. So our vertex, therefore, is 4, 6. Now another thing to note on this one is, let me just grab a different color here, this number here. I was going to circle in front of it, but that number here. So we note that it is a positive, okay? So that means that this would open up, right? Positive numbers open up, negative numbers open down. So let's take a look at factored form. So our factored form looks something like y equals -2, and we have 2 brackets. Okay, so we have 2 brackets. So our factored form gives us our zeros, or what are also known as our x-intercepts. So these are where it crosses on the x-axis, right? So if we're looking at this, it's where they cross on this line. Okay, so we're going to take the pink highlighter and we are going to circle our zeros. So again, they're inside the brackets. So when we take them out of the brackets, they turn into, this one turns into a negative because it's a positive, so the sign changes. And this one turns into a positive because it was a negative inside the bracket. So our intercepts would be, you can write it as 3 and -4, or we can write it as 3, 0 for our first one, and -4, 0. So these are where they cross the x-axis. And then our standard form, actually, before I go on to the standard form, we also need to take a look at, we would know that it's going to go down because it's a negative number. So our parabola opens down, whereas this one would open up, right? Down like a frown, up like a cup. So then we're going to go to standard form. And our standard form looks something like this. Plus 7x plus 10, right? We have an x squared, an x, and just a simple number. So what we get from this form is we get our y-intercept. So where the line crosses on the y-axis. So if we have, it's where it crosses this line. Okay, whether it be this way or that way, it's where it crosses the y-axis. So our y-intercept for this one is 0, 10, because this is at when x is 0. And we're going to note that it's a positive number here. So it's going to open up like a cup. Okay? So now today we're going to be learning about something called expanding. So it is taking our factored form. So you see how there's two brackets. So we're taking our factored form and turning it into our standard form. So how we're going to do that is right here we have been given two brackets. So what we're going to do is we're going to use something called a hashtag or a window or area model. You're gonna hear all sorts of names, but I like to look at it more like a window. I know it says hashtag here, but so what we're going to do is we're going to make something that looks just like a window. Okay, and then we're going to label these 1 and 2. Okay, this is our first bracket, this is our second bracket. So we're going to take our first bracket and put it on top. So we have x and we have plus 2. So make sure that it is above this box and it is above that box. And then we're going to take our second one and put it down the side. So we're going to put x on that one and plus 1 on that one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through each box individually. And what you do here is, so first box, we go x times x because it's above it, and that becomes x squared. And then let's go to the next one. So we go x times positive 2, which gives us 2x. And then we'll go down here where it's positive 1 times x, so we get 1x. And then our last one is you go to this side and it goes positive 1 times positive 2, which is 2. So from here, what you're going to do is you are going to take your 2 and put a box around it. Okay, these two and put the box around it. It's both of the x's. And you're just going to add them together. So 2x plus 1x gives us 3x, right? 2x plus 1x is 3x. And then we're going to write our equation going from this way. So you're going to go x squared is the first one, and the next two gives us positive 3x. And then our last one, because we're just kind of going this way, is positive 2. And we now have it in our standard format. So let's go through the next one. So we're going to create, for expanding, we're going to create our window. Okay, it's how would you expand these? So we're going to label them 1 and 2, and our first one goes on the top. So x plus 10. And then the second one goes down the side, x plus 8. So let's go to our first one. Our first box, we go above it, x times x, x squared. Our next box, x times 10 gives us 10x. And then below it's 8 times x gives us 8x. And our last box is 8 times 10, which is 80. So then we take another color and we put a box around the two x's and we add them together. So 8x, we'll just put it up here, plus 10x. This gives us 18x. And then we write our equation. So we have, so we're starting from this corner and going down. X squared plus 18x plus 80. So that's how we expand factored form. So let's go through a couple of practice questions. So I'm going to go through the first few with you, and then you are going to practice on your own. Sorry, I just needed some water. So we're going to create our window. Label 1 and 2. So the first one goes on the top, x plus 3. Second one goes down the side, x plus 2. And then we multiply. Our first box, x times x, gives us x squared, right? X times x is x squared. Next box, x times positive 3 is 3x. Next box, 2 times x gives us 2x. And then 2 times 3 gives us 6. And then we take another color and put a box around it. And then we add them together. So 2x plus 3x gives us 5x. And then we write our equation, starting from this corner and going down. So our first one is x squared. Our next one is 5x. And then we have a positive 6. Let's try the next one. So we're going to draw a lovely window. And we're going to put our first one on the top. And then our second one down the side. And remember, it's a -4. And then we're going to go through and do our multiplication. So x times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. -4 times x is -4x. And -4 times 5 is -20. You can use your calculator for that. And then we're going to put a box around our x's and add them together. So -4x plus 5x gives us 1x. So then we can write our equation. So we go this way. So first corner is x squared. Our next boxes are 1x. And then our last one is -20. I'm going to do one more with you, and then you guys are going to practice on your own. So let's draw our window. I think my windows keep getting worse and worse looking. So we're going to put the first one on the top, -2. And then the second one down the side, -6. And then we have x times x, x squared. X times -2 is -2x. -6 times x gives us -6x. -6x times -2 gives us +12. So when you're doing the boxes, you're looking above for the multiplication. And then we take our color and we box the two x's and add them together. So -6x plus -2x gives us -8x. And then we're going to write out our equation. So we start from this side and we go down. So we have x squared minus 8x, because that's our middle one, plus 12. And that is how you go from factored form to standard form. Now you guys are going to practice.